Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 58. All right, so we've had a pretty exciting weekend of news about the Jeffrey Epstein case, most of it based on what's going on in England with Prince Andrew right now and the looming Virginia Roberts interview that's about to happen. So we have two articles. The first one is from the New York Post, and it has to do with Prince Charles, the king in waiting, and his assessment of the situation between his brother Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. And the second article is from the Daily Mail, and it's the headline talks about that Andrew is bracing for new revelations in the interview tonight with Virginia Roberts. So who really knows? I mean, right? Who knows what's going to happen? What's she going to say? We've seen the one clip, and it seems like she's going to say some pretty damning stuff, and then some other stuff she's just going to reinforce what she has said before. But what we do know is this. We know that Virginia Roberts has some electrifying allegations, and we know that we need to listen to what she has to say, because if anybody has been credible throughout this whole entire situation, it's Virginia Roberts. She has been very steady in what she has to say. She hasn't deviated from the course. It's just unfortunate that she's had to deal with so many roadblocks and so many hurdles to get her story out there. ABC squashing it. How many other powerful people told her to beat sand? A lot of people. She was never protected by law enforcement in 2008 with the sweetheart deal. Then after that, when they didn't inform her of the deal, and on and on and on and on and on and on it goes. And then the ultimate slap in the face, even if you're the most rigid, I believe the official narrative person, the courts and the justice system failed in the most egregious way by not keeping Epstein alive for him to face justice, right? So even if you believe that he didn't kill himself, it's still egregious to think that he would be allowed to, if you think he killed himself, it's still egregious to think that he was able to do that while in custody. How does that even occur? How does that occur? Especially in a facility that hasn't seen a suicide in so long. So the most unfortunate part of the whole thing is that Jeffrey Epstein isn't going to be around to face justice or to rat these people out. All right, with that said, let's jump into our articles. Before we do that, though, if you would like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com, BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. Article from the New York Post. Headline, Prince Charles demands Andrew to be open and honest about the Epstein issue. All right, so let's see. Prince Charles has ordered a crisis meeting with brother Andrew, demanding he comes clean about his dealings with Jeffrey Epstein before a potentially damaging TV special, according to a report on Sunday. Charles, the 71-year-old heir to the throne, has ordered the meeting with his scandal-scarred brother before Monday night's BBC special with key accuser Virginia Roberts, the Sunday Mirror said. He has told his brother to be completely upfront, open and honest with him, and if there is anything else he thinks could come out, a source told the UK paper, calling it a meeting about the Epstein case. He knows how damaging this issue is for the family, knows it has the potential to get much worse, and is taking it very, very seriously, the source said. All right, so again, it's about the family, right? Let's close ranks. Let's make sure that we protect the family. Let's make sure that the family name isn't more tarnished than it is already. Let's make sure that we protect the royal family. When in reality, there's no empathy to the victims, not from Andrew and not from Charles either, it seems like. If I was Charles, I'd be taking a whole different approach. I'd be offering these women whatever I possibly could, whatever I legally could, especially in light of the fact that your brother's such a weasel. Right? I don't care who the person is, brother, cousin, father, uncle. Certainly, who cares if it's a political figure? If anyone's involved in a scheme and plot like this, I would throw them right under the bus if I had the ability to do so, without even ever thinking about it. There's some things that are just beyond the pale, right? Human trafficking and molesting kids is definitely in that vein. The Prince of Wales, who was in New Zealand when Andrew was booted from royal duties, has reportedly sought counsel from their father, Prince Philip, as well as Sir Nicholas Soames, a veteran politician and grandson of Sir Winston Churchill. Wow, he's calling out the big guns, huh? Prince Philip's like 98 years old. I don't know anything about Nicholas Soames, but, I mean, what really can Prince Philip offer to the equation at this point? Why not let the man just be retired in peace? So it's pretty telling to what level this crisis is with the royals if they're pulling out these sort of people to help them with crisis management. I can understand the Soames character, I guess, even though I don't know who he is. If he's Winston Churchill's grandson, he probably has some pull and some status within the United Kingdom. Some of the English fans could help me out a little more with that, I'm sure. But I don't think it's a bad idea for Prince Charles to reach out for some help. I mean, this is a crazy situation, right? Philip is said to be furious at Andrew, along with his son's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, who reportedly encouraged the Duke of York to go ahead with his own BBC interview that was widely deemed a car crash disaster for him. I think that's being kind as well. It's more than a car crash. A car crash is gruesome, but this is way more than that. This is like the Hindenburg. He feels Andrew is undoing all the good work the Queen has done, the source told Sunday Mirror of Philip. Yeah, well, again, look, Philip on down. If this is the way the 98-year-old patriarch feels, his children probably feel the same way. Let's do whatever we can to defend the family's honor. Let's make sure that the family isn't tarnished in this. And that's pretty sad, honestly. You would think that these people would have a little bit more couth, but I guess not. He is angry the Duchess of York was involved in any way. Many friends think Sarah gave him false confidence. So again, let's blame someone else. Andrew has no blame. Let's blame somebody else. Let's blame the Duchess of York. Let's blame this one. Let's blame that one. No. Let's blame Andrew. All of those people might share a little piece of the blame, but the weight of the blame and the brunt of the blame goes on Andrew's shoulders alone. He's the one who chose to get involved in this. He's the one who chose to go to Epstein's. He's the one who chose to allegedly assault Virginia Roberts. Nobody forced him to do anything like that. So let's not blame anybody else. How about some self-responsibility for the old prince here? A spokesman for Charles declined to comment to the paper. Andrew has always strenuously denied Robert's allegations that she had sex with Andrew at Epstein's behest when she was 17. All right, well, you know what? The rubber's meeting the road now. We've seen Andrew's interview, and it was, let us say, less than appealing and less than convincing. Now we're going to see Virginia Roberts' interview in a few mere hours. We're going to see this interview, and we're going to see, right? We're going to see what's what. We're going to see how credible Virginia Roberts looks in this interview. We're going to see why ABC didn't want to run the same sort of interview. We're going to see a lot, and I'm going to be critical of it. I'm going to look at it with a critical eye, as a journalist should, and I'm going to make sure that it's one of those situations where she comes off as she always has, because that's exactly what I expect from her. I mean, her story, I don't think I've ever heard a case where there's so much evidence and no arrests besides one person. I mean, look, you got the 2 guards as the only arrests after Epstein. How is that? I mean, really, guys? Really? How is that justice? How is that justice? Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, these 2 guards, if they were derelict in their duty, they deserve some sort of punishment. But what about their superior? What about his superior? So the ex-warden gets reassigned and these 2 guards get criminally charged? That's not justice. That's not justice at all. That's finding a scapegoat, low man on the totem pole, low-hanging fruit. We want real justice in this case. Don't give us the appearance of justice. Don't give us the appearance that, oh, now we care, because we want real justice in this case. All right, on to our article. The Daily Mail. Headline: Prince Andrew is braced for fresh revelations as BBC Panorama prepares to air interview tonight with sex slave Virginia Roberts, who claims she slept with the royal as a teenager. Prince Andrew is braced for fresh embarrassment today in a BBC interview with the Jeffrey Epstein sex slave who claims she slept with the royal as a teenager. Virginia Roberts is set to accuse the Duke of York of lying about their alleged encounters. In the BBC Panorama interview tonight, Miss Roberts will repeat allegations against Andrew despite his insistence he has no recollection of ever meeting her. In the first clip released last week, Virginia, who is now married and has the surname Joffrey, tells the show, it was a really scary time in my life. He knows what happened. I know what happened. And there's only one of us who's telling the truth. She claims that she was trafficked by pedophile financier Epstein and forced to have sex with the prince on 3 occasions, once aged 17. Andrew denies her allegations. We've heard his denials, and we've heard his surrogates, and we've heard what they have to say. We've listened to them. We've given them their chance. He's had his interview. And so it's time now we see what Roberts brings to the table, right? Let's see her receipts. Let's see what she brings. We've seen the pictures. We've heard her story. But let's hear her in her own words on a widespread interview here on BBC. The same platform the prince had. Let's see what she has to say. Let's see how credible we find her. The BBC was due to release a new clip of Tonight's Show early this morning, but changed its plans yesterday because of the sensitive nature of the program, as reported by the Times. Oh boy. All right, so that's reading between the lines. Obviously, let me be very upfront with you and very clear. I have no inside information about what's in this report. I have zero idea. But the sensitive nature of the program, I'm guessing maybe she outs somebody else, names another name. That would be my guess. Or maybe goes into more detail about her time with Andrew. It's going to be something like that because they don't want to air it because it's probably a juicy part and they want to make sure that everybody tunes into their program, of course. It comes as the prince was plunged into fresh crisis over claims he abused his taxpayer-funded trade role to benefit an associate. Leaked papers reveal how he exploited the position to open doors for the tycoon David Spotty Rowland while on official trade missions. All right, so now we have a blurb within this article. All right, like the Daily Mail, when they have these in-depth articles, does this. So the blurb is, where is Prince Andrew now left legally? Police interview for Andrew? Scotland Yard has ruled out any inquiry in the UK, but the FBI and the French authorities are conducting investigations. It is possible for the FBI or French police to issue a letter of request direct to Scotland Yard for assistance in taking a statement from the royal. They could request that an interview takes place with either British detectives or French or American investigators if they travel to the UK to meet him. All right, so that's not really a subpoena. That's a voluntary letter of request, meaning he comes in on his own and he sits down and he speaks with the investigators and goes on record about what he knows. I don't like that. I would really prefer a subpoena, and I don't even care really if it's done with brute force, because I don't think that Andrew deserves anything more or less than me or you would deserve, right? If this was you or I, they would be all over us. But him? No, that's not going to happen, right? The FBI could also issue a request for mutual legal assistance via the Home Office. But any statement or interview would only be voluntary, and it is not possible to force a potential suspect or witness to cooperate without a warrant for their arrest. Andrew cannot be subpoenaed to give testimony because he lives outside the jurisdiction of the U.S. courts. Immunity from prosecution? Last night, Buckingham Palace confirmed the Duke of York is not immune from prosecution. The Queen has sovereign immunity from civil or criminal prosecutions, but this does not extend to all members of the royal family. Anna Rothwell of law firm Corker Binning said yesterday those connected to Epstein were vulnerable to extradition due to the ongoing FBI investigation. Hey, look, that's definitely promising. Someone who knows the law there, from someone from the law firm Corker Binning. The UK fans might be hip to who they are. I mean, I really don't, but obviously they're probably somebody pretty powerful if they're being quoted in this article, probably a law firm of note. Is extradition possible? The FBI would first consider if there is enough evidence to charge him with an offense. A formal extradition request would be made. The Home Secretary would have to decide whether to certify the request before it would be sent to Westminster Magistrates Court to consider. A judge would need to be satisfied that his conduct amounts to an extraditable offense by considering whether there was evidence of guilt and if extradition would breach human rights. Well, they sure don't have a problem having Julian Assange brought away in prison. So what's the problem about bringing Andrew in for questioning? It's not like they're putting him in a prison like they're doing Assange. So I don't understand what the problem is. Wait, I get it. I got it. Assange wasn't pushing your political narratives. Assange was just worried about the truth. So Assange will take the fall, while the prince, the diddling prince, will be able to just skirt away and do whatever he wants and keep doing what he wants. An order would still need to be signed off by the Home Secretary. Yesterday, lawyers claimed an extradition request to the U.S. would be hard to resist. Due to the European agreements we currently have in place, extradition to France would be a more straightforward process. So there's investigations in France and America into this, so it's possible, highly unlikely in my humble opinion, that France could try and get him extradited to France as well to go after him for his crimes. But like I said, I find that highly unlikely. Buckingham Palace did not respond to the claims, but said in a statement that the aim of the Duke's trade role was to promote Britain and the British interests overseas, not the interests of individuals. All right, and that's picking right back up where we left off with the actual article. The Duke is withdrawn from public duties after he was widely criticized for failing to show remorse for his friendship or much empathy with Epstein's alleged victims during his television appearance. And that's what, it's appalling, right? A guy like this, you have no empathy for these poor girls? You have daughters of your own. Never mind just having daughters, but just how about being a human being? Have some empathy for these girls. He has resigned from a large number of patronages or seen organizations he was once involved with sever ties. Miss Roberts has claimed in court papers in Florida that she was forced to have sex with Andrew when she was age 17, under the state's age of consent. And see, this is what I mean by credible. When you're being accused in court papers and in court documents, and somebody's willing to give these interviews, and they're willing to show their face and bring forward who they are at great risk to themselves, well, that's what I call a credible allegation. Her allegations, with which Andrew strenuously denies, were struck from U.S. civil court records in 2015 after a judge said they were immaterial and impertinent. Your whole courtroom's obviously immaterial and impertinent, Judge. What a joke. I believe the judge's name is Preska. It follows Andrew's attempt to defend himself against Miss Roberts' accusations and explain his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein during an interview on BBC Newsnight, which was branded a car crash. A little worse than a car crash. How about like a nuclear bomb test in the Nevada desert in the 50s? In the interview, the Duke denied Miss Roberts' claims and said an alleged encounter with her in 2001 did not happen, as he spent the day with his daughter, Princess Beatrice, taking her to Pizza Express in Woking for a party. Miss Roberts alleged the Duke sweated heavily as they danced at London nightclub Tramp. All right, and by the way, Tramp for the name of a nightclub, that's classy. That's a classy joint for the prince to be going to. Didn't he go to a pimp and hose party as well? What's next? He's at a swingers club or at a gimp party dressed in a gimp suit with one of those gag balls getting beat? I mean, I thought you were an honorable man, Prince. Look, I'm not knocking your proclivities if you have those. That's cool. Do what you want. I could care less. Doesn't bother me one bit as long as it's with consenting adults. All right? The second it stops being consenting, well, it becomes our business, unfortunately. During the interview, Andrew said he had a medical condition at the time after suffering an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when he was shot at, which meant he did not sweat. Look, I got to tell you, I climb mountains. I have had a boatload of close calls, a lot of shots of adrenaline, and I've never had an overdose of adrenaline. How much shooting did he really see over in the Falklands War? Has anyone contacted his units? I mean, come on, we got to get real about this. Unfortunately, even if it makes us uncomfortable, the questions that have to be asked, he's the one who put himself in this situation. He's the one that bears the responsibility. I will not feel bad about asking hard questions. The Duke is withdrawn from public duties after he was widely criticized for failing to show remorse for his friendship with Epstein or for empathy for the alleged victims during his television appearance. He has resigned from a large number of patronages and seen organizations he was once involved with sever ties. Miss Roberts has claimed in court papers in Florida that she was forced to have sex with Andrew when she was age 17, below the state's age of consent. Her allegations, which Andrew strenuously denies, were struck from the U.S. Civil Court records in 2015 after a judge said they were immaterial and impertinent. Yikers. All right. I can't even, it boggles my mind. I had to read that over again because the judge saying it's impertinent is just so mind-boggling to me. All right, so another blurb within the article. And the headline of this blurb within the Daily Mail article, and like I said, I encourage you all to click on the Daily Mail link and go and read the article, give them their clicks. They deserve that. They deserve the traffic, obviously. And also, it's easy. You can follow the actual article that I'm talking about, and then what you can do is you can see what I mean about the blurbs inside of the article. So it's very comprehensive, and it's a good recap of what's going on. So for those of you who are just joining us who might not have been listening to the show and you decided to jump in right here, well, this is a good recap, this little blurb here. Epstein and Andrew, the prince's timeline and how it stands up to what others say. The first meeting. What Andrew claims. Prince Andrew claimed in his disastrous BBC interview that he met Epstein through Ghislaine Maxwell in 1999. What others say. In a 2011 letter about his friendship with the pedophile, one of the Duke's aides said they met in the early 90s. The aide's timeline corresponds with when Epstein and Maxwell met following the death of her father in 1991. In a 2007 letter that was sent to prosecutors in Florida to try to lessen Epstein's sentence for his first sex trafficking case, he was praised with helping her overcome her grief. Aw, look at that, a man of the people. That Epstein, he sure had a lot of empathy for these girls, didn't he? This is showing that he had empathy. He couldn't be guilty of the crimes accused. Stop it. He helped Ghislaine Maxwell overcome her grief, damn you. The alleged incidents with Virginia Roberts. Roberts, now known by her married name Virginia Guffrey, however you want to pronounce it, one way or the other, claims that in 2001 she had sex with the Duke when she was 17 inside Ghislaine Maxwell's London townhouse. She says it was the first of 3 encounters, the others taking place in New York and on Epstein's Caribbean island. To support her allegations, which she first shared in 2011, she released a photograph. What Andrew claims. He never had sex with Roberts and does not even remember ever meeting her. What others say. No one but Roberts has gone on the record to verify her claims about Andrew specifically, but she is among a group of Epstein victims now demanding apologies and answers from anyone who is associated with his lifestyle. Her ex-boyfriend, Tony Figueroa, has said he knew of the photograph of them. Epstein's first criminal case. In 2007, Epstein was charged with sexually trafficking minors in Florida. He negotiated a sweetheart deal for himself, which involved pleading guilty in exchange for just 1 year of prison time, during which he was allowed to leave to go to work every day. What is he getting? Cut the deal that Starling offered to Hannibal Lecter? Each day you may walk on the beach. Each day you may look at the sunrise. Well, I mean, really? What the bleepity bleep bleep bleep. This guy's as big of a monster as Hannibal Lecter. Why is he getting work release? Makes you wonder, huh? Makes you wonder who's really pulling the strings. He was released in 2010. Andrew then went to visit him in New York. The infamous Central Park photograph was taken during this trip. What Andrew claims. Andrew said in his BBC interview that he went to visit Epstein to end their friendship. I took the judgment call that because this was serious, and I felt that doing it over the telephone was the chicken's way of doing it, I said I had to go and see him and talk to him. He said he previously described the trip as a mistake. What others say. In 2011, a Daily Beast article described the party which Epstein threw in the Duke's honor during the trip. It listed Woody Allen and Katie Couric among guests. Literary agent Max Brockman also described seeing Andrew receiving a foot massage from a Russian woman inside Epstein's home during the trip. He claimed in an email that Andrew complained about the treatment he received publicly, saying, "In Monaco, Albert works 12 hours a day, but at 9 p.m. when he goes out, he does whatever he wants and nobody cares. But if I do it, I'm in big trouble. Aww, the prince have a tough life." Guess what? Public scrutiny comes when you're on the public dole, princey boy. All right, public scrutiny comes when you're acting like a complete and utter buffoon. When you're the George Bush of the Windsor family, that's what happens. What Andrew says. Oh, excuse me. Epstein's second arrest. Andrew said nothing of Epstein's arrest in July at the time. It was only after he had killed himself, allegedly, and questions had resurfaced about the Duke's friendship with him that he issued a statement. In it, he said he knew nothing of the allegations against him and that he sympathized with the victims. Yeah, okay, we saw that in your interview. You really showed somebody who was sympathetic in that interview, buddy. You had a whole lot of empathy for these victims. Clown. What Andrew says. Andrew said he saw Ghislaine Maxwell this year, but that they did not discuss Epstein's case and that it wasn't in the news at the time. He said he had no knowledge of the allegations against his friend. What others say. Prosecutors started looking into Epstein's sweetheart deal with Acosta as far back as February. And remember, 2 weeks before Epstein was arrested, Maxwell and the prince were huddled up in Buckingham Palace. All right, now back to the article. Buckingham Palace has branded the allegations false and without any foundation, stating, any suggestion of impropriety with underage minors by the Duke was categorically untrue. Miss Roberts has criticized the Metropolitan Police for failing to investigate her allegations, and as she should. I'm glad that she put them on blast on Twitter. I'm glad that she's going crazy and double-barreling these people. Do you blame her at this point? What if it was you? How would you feel? I know I'd be going scorched earth. I'd be doing interviews with every goddamn any publication that would do interviews with me. I don't care the language. I would be giving interviews in every language to every publication on this planet. The Met said it stands by its decision not to investigate claims by the Duke's accuser and added that officials had spoken to other law enforcement agencies but have not received a formal request asking for assistance. Question is, why not? Still, why have they not? How don't they have any assistance? How isn't this case moving forward in the UK? Who is demanding that it does not move forward in the UK? I wonder who possibly could exert that sort of power. There are only a few groups or a few people that could exert that sort of power in the UK, folks. And I'll leave that as a question that's rhetorical, I guess. Epstein killed himself in August, allegedly, in a New York prison while he was being held on sex trafficking charges. Buckingham Palace has branded the allegations leveled at Andrew as false and without any foundation. Okay, just that first statement, false and without any foundation. Then why is he stepping back from public life completely? Why have you completely stripped this man of all of his titles? Why is he the most disgraced prince in I don't know how long, because I don't know your stupid history that well. But why is he so quickly being cast aside if there's no foundation to these rumors? Shouldn't you stand by his side if you believed him? Wouldn't you stand tall by him? Wouldn't you rally the wagons? Rally the troops and surround the wagons? Kind of looks like you're throwing him to the wolves here. And I wouldn't be surprised if the prince has some sort of accident, to be honest with you, at this point. You put that above these people? How the Duke of York's meetings with Jeffrey Epstein have brought him decades of trouble since the 90s. Another quick blurb inside of the article. 1990s. Andrew first meets Epstein, reportedly introduced through his friendship with Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter of newspaper tycoon, and member of the mega group, by the way, Robert Maxwell. Andrew welcomes Epstein to the Queen's private Scottish retreat in Aberdeenshire. Andrew later says he sees Epstein infrequently, adding probably no more than only once or twice a year. Yeah, okay, I don't buy that. I really don't buy that. I bet you he was sneaking off to see him a lot more than we knew. Before Epstein was on the radar, how often was he in London, a guy like that? A mere 6-hour flight from New York. How often was the prince in New York? How often were they in other places together? I'm sure they were meeting up quite a bit. We know that Epstein and Maxwell got around. They were at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. They got around. They were always down at Mar-a-Lago. They got around. 2000. Andrew and Miss Maxwell are seen on holiday with Epstein at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach, Florida. Epstein and Miss Maxwell attend a party at Windsor Castle, hosted by the Queen to mark Andrew's 40th birthday, the Princess Royal's 50th, and Queen Mother's 100th, and Princess Margaret's 70th. Boy, they sure do have a lot of dates that the taxpayers in England have to celebrate. I mean, really? 2001. Virginia Roberts claims to have had sex with Andrew 3 times, including one orgy, with the first encounter allegedly taking place in Miss Maxwell's London townhouse. Miss Maxwell claims to have had sex with Andrew on 2 more occasions. Miss Roberts claims to have had sex with Andrew on 2 more occasions at Epstein's New York home and at an orgy on his private island in the Caribbean. Now, look, I think that orgy in the Caribbean is very crucial. I think that if we could find some of those other girls to corroborate this story, the girls that were involved in this orgy, then boy, would that really put a nail home in this coffin of Prince Andrew, right? 2 girls coming out now saying, yeah, I saw Virginia Roberts involved in that. I was involved in that as well. So I hope that Chuck Cooper has his team together and they're searching these leads out. I mean, look, I think it's crucial to the story that these girls know that it's okay to come forward, that they're going to be protected. Obviously, it doesn't help when Epstein himself dies in prison, supposedly being protected, but these girls have to know that they're going to be protected if they come forward, that they're not going to face retribution from these sick bastards. 2008. Epstein admits prostituting minors and is sentenced to 18 months in prison. 2010. Epstein is released from jail. Andrew is photographed with the disgraced Epstein in New York Central Park. Footage emerges years later, reportedly shot on December 6, 2010, showing him inside Epstein's Manhattan mansion, from where he is seen looking out from a large door of the property, waving a woman goodbye after Epstein leaves to get into a chauffeur-driven car. 2011. The Duke quits his role as UK trade envoy after the fallout from the Central Park photos. So, he just had to quit his trade envoy position then. It wasn't enough for him to really lose everything then. He was hanging out with a convicted sex offender. Why would he not be disgraced? Why would you defend him? 2015. Buckingham Palace denies Andrew has committed any impropriety after he is named in U.S. court documents related to Epstein. A woman, later named in the report as Miss Roberts, alleges in papers filed in Florida that she was forced to have sex with Andrew when she was 17, which is underage of consent in the state. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, Andrew, in his first public engagement since he was embroiled in the allegations, responds saying, "Firstly, I think I must and want, for the record, to refer to the events that have taken place in the last few weeks. I just wish to reiterate and to reaffirm the statements that have already been made on my behalf by Buckingham Palace. In April, the claims against Andrew were struck from U.S. civil court records following a federal judge's ruling." All right, I don't know if you guys watch the show Succession or not on HBO, but I love it. And Andrew reminds me of Kendall Roy. All right, go on TV and tell them that your father's deal was better. And that's basically what's going on. But just refer back to the Buckingham Palace statement, whatever they say. And I can see why now after that interview. 2019. Newly released legal documents show that Johanna Schoberg, another alleged Epstein victim, claimed Andrew touched her breast while sitting on a couch inside the U.S. billionaire's Manhattan apartment in 2001. Buckingham Palace said the allegations are categorically untrue. Epstein is found dead in his jail cell on August 10th, having killed himself, allegedly, after being charged with sex trafficking. Later that month, a pilot on Epstein's private jet claims Andrew was a passenger on past flights with the financier and Miss Roberts. Bing, bang, boom, done. There you go. That's corroborating evidence, folks. How much more do we need to arrest this man? The Sun newspaper reported that David Rogers said in a testimony released in August that Epstein, Andrew, and the then 17-year-old traveled to the U.S. Virgin Islands on April 11, 2001. Buckingham Palace describes the evidence statement as having a number of inconsistencies and said that Andrew was on a different continent in some cases. That's a very vague statement. A number of inconsistencies. Please point out those inconsistencies for us. And having been on another continent in some cases, yeah, okay, we believe that, because those numbers can't be fudged. Those records can't be fudged. Following Epstein's death, a statement from the palace says that Andrew was appalled by the recent reports of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes, but he wasn't appalled in 2011 and 2010? Yeah, okay, we don't believe you. Breaking his silence on the issue for the first time since 2015, Andrew then releases a statement on August 24th saying, "At no stage during the limited time I spent with him, Epstein, did I see witness, or suspect any behavior of the sort that subsequently led to his arrest and conviction. Now, how about the massage you got on your feet from the young Russian chick, buddy? That wasn't untoward. That happens. You show up at Buckingham Palace and there's a young girl there to massage your feet. What is this, the 11th century? I mean, what are you, one of the Norman conquerors? On November 16th, the prince gave a disastrous BBC interview in which he spoke about his friendship with Epstein and addressed allegations of his own sexual conduct. He faced a barrage of criticism following his television appearance, with the royal accused of a lack of empathy with Epstein's victims. There's no doubt about that, big-time lack of empathy. During the interview, Andrew, questioned by Newsnight presenter Emily Maitlis, twice stated his relationship with Epstein, who died in jail while facing sex trafficking charges, had some seriously beneficial outcomes. To everybody but this young lady, right? Beneficial to you, beneficial to your friends. And again, we see that with his other nonsensical business ties. This guy was completely out for himself. He was there to enrich himself. How else could he live the lavish lifestyle that he was living, folks? Given him the opportunity to meet people and prepare for a future role as a trade envoy, the Duke denied he ever slept with Virginia Roberts, one of Epstein's victims, on 3 separate occasions, twice while she was underage, saying one encounter in 2001 did not happen, as he spent the day with his daughter, Princess Beatrice, taking her to Pizza Express in Woking for a party. All right, J. Edgar Hoover, pack up the investigation. Pack it on up. We don't need the FBI to investigate this. The prince has told us he was at the pizza shop, so that's the end of that. I mean, really? You're at the pizza place? So that's your excuse and we're just going to believe that? Yeah, I don't think that's going to work out so well there, sir. The same alleged sexual liaison, which the American said began with the royal sweating heavily as they danced at a London nightclub named Tramp, was factually wrong, as the Duke said he had a medical condition at the time, which meant he did not sweat. He cast doubt on the authenticity of a picture that appears to show Andrew with his arm around the waist of Miss Joffrey when she was a teenager. The good old princely boy here, as he braces for more backlash from this interview with Virginia Roberts that's going to air tonight over in England. So December 2nd. And that's already December. It's already December 2nd over there in England. So that's going to air tonight in England, tomorrow for us, I guess you would say, in America. And I'm waiting very patiently to see the link so I can watch it and see how damning it truly is for Andrew, because I expect it to be truly damning. And I expect her to come off very, very credible. And now with all of this interest in the case, there's going to be widespread viewership of this, folks. A lot of people are going to tune into this, I bet. A lot of people are going to want to watch the stream. And if I got to pay to get behind a paywall to see it, so be it. That's what I'll do, because I think it's very crucial to the case that we see Virginia Roberts. And maybe what I'll do is, once I get my hands on the link and the clip, maybe I'll play some clips for you guys, a couple of blurbs from her interview, if I can find some access to that clip tomorrow before I do one of the after the show. Maybe I'll do just a follow-up of that if we can find ourselves an online stream, since it's not going to be aired here in America. All right, folks, that is the Daily Drop for tonight. If you want to get in contact with me, you can do that at BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. That's Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. If you would like to support the show, you can do that in the description box. Just follow the GoFundMe link, and that is where you can do that. All right, everybody, I hope you all have a great evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow morning.